Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of On the Glass. This is our third episode, and today is going to be a little NFL-centric. We're going to talk about the NFL coaching hires by the Cowboys, the Panthers, and the Giants. We're also going to kind of recap what happened over Wild Card Weekend in the NFL, as well as look ahead to the NFL Divisional round that's coming up this weekend. We're going to start with the NFL coaching hires, and we're going to start with the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys hired Mike McCarthy, the former head coach of the Green Bay Packers, which is getting a lot of praise from national media on ESPN, Fox Sports 1, and other outlets like that. This is widely accepted as a good hire. Mike McCarthy at his time in Green Bay was 125-77-2 for a .618 winning percentage. He was 10-8 in the postseason and the 2007 Coach of the Year in the NFL. So, on paper, this looks like a great hire for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I'm going to kind of step off the beaten path a little bit here, and I'm going to say that this hire is not going to work out. Here's why. When he was in Green Bay talking about Mike McCarthy, he had one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, perhaps of all time, in Aaron Rodgers. And in that time, they won one Super Bowl together. Now, Dak Prescott, good quarterback, not a great quarterback. So, if McCarthy only won one Super Bowl with a great quarterback and everybody accepts him as a great quarterback, what's he going to do with just a good quarterback? Let's face it, best player on the Dallas Cowboys is by far Ezekiel Elliott. And we all know that the tread on the tires is only so long in the NFL, I should say. Excuse me for that. So, what are we going to do here? Mike McCarthy, good coach in the regular season. Don't buy into him in the postseason. Only 10-8 in Green Bay in the postseason, and that's with Rodgers. I don't know. I'm not sold on this hire. I would probably put this as the second best hire of the weekend, and we'll go into who I think is the number one hire of these three teams. But I don't think McCarthy's it. I think he's a good hire, but I don't think he's going to be willing to play ball with Jerry Jones the way that Jerry Jones is going to require him to do. But we'll wait and see how it turns out there in Big D. If nothing else, McCarthy is more than capable of getting them to the playoffs. But once they're there, they'll probably flame out. So we'll just have to let the cake bake on that one. But I'm not sold on McCarthy as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Next, we're going to move to the New York Football Giants. And man, did they pull a bad franchise move, in my opinion. They hired Joe Judge. Joe Judge. He has no head coaching experience on any level. Now, granted, high school coaching experience is not really listed on any of his biography pages or anything like that. But in college and pro, he has no head coaching experience. He did, however, coach at the University of Alabama under Nick Saban. He was a special teams coordinator there for a few seasons. And then he moved on to the New England Patriots and was a special teams and wide receivers coach there as well. And like I said, no head coaching experience, Joe Judge. Bad franchises do bad things. And in my opinion, this is just a horrible, horrible hire. Why are you going to get rid of one coach to get a coach with no credentials like this guy? Now, I'm hearing on national shows and things like that this guy apparently went into the interview and knocked it out of the ballpark. But, I mean, come on. This is the NFL. This is a league where you have to win, and you have to win now. There is too much money on the line for these owners to tolerate losing seasons, and the Giants are in a skid, folks. This is their fifth head coach, I think, fourth or fifth head coach since Coughlin has left the Giants. It's not a good look for you up there in New York. If you're a Giants fan, I honestly don't know how you should feel right now. If I were a Giants fan, I would be livid. I would have much rather seen somebody like Marvin Lewis up there, Dave Caldwell. Heck, get Byron Leftwich a chance from down in Tampa Bay, the offensive coordinator for Tampa Bay. He spent some time under Bruce Arians, and he's a coordinator. This guy was a coordinator too, but he was special teams coordinator. Like, who really cares about that? So this general manager up in New York, I don't know what in the world he is thinking. This guy was on the hot seat as is, and then he pulls a hire like Judge. Come on now. That's not how you save your you-know-what. This guy has literally no credentials whatsoever. He has been in the NFL a long time and in coaching a long time. He started out as a grad assistant for Mississippi State. But come on, New York, do better. You're one of the largest markets in the NFL. You've got to do better. All the teams up there, except for the Yankees, are in the crapper. At least the Brooklyn Nets have a glimpse into their future of what could be with Kyrie and KD up there. But New York Football Giants, what are y'all doing? This time next year on the Glass, we will be talking about a new coaching hire for the New York Football Giants. I'm going to predict that right now. Mark this time in history. It is January the 8th of 2020. I predict on January the 9th, 2021, we are going to be talking about a new head coach for the New York Giants. I'm sorry. I just do not see this working out. Plain and simple. What were they thinking? Sorry, New York. It's going to be another long season for you. As far as the coaching hires this week, I think one man stands out. I think one franchise stands out, and that is the Carolina Panthers hiring Matt Rule out of Baylor University. Now, this guy, he does have 1 year coaching experience in the NFL. It was as an assistant offensive line coach, and that's with the New York Giants, oddly enough. And the Giants were after Rule, but Carolina scooped him up too quick for the Giants, so the Giants ended up with Judge. The Panthers hire Matt Rule. He is 47-43 as a college head coach, but that stat is a bit deceiving. His first head coaching job was for Temple. When he went into Temple, it was a dumpster fire. Like, the only thing that came out of Temple was dumpster juice. It was terrible up there. Terrible. They were one of the worst programs in Division I football. They were always a laughing stock, and he rebuilt that team. So, I mean, give the guy credit. He left Temple as like a 6 or 7 win football team when they had won no games or one game for the past few seasons before him. So his line is a little deceiving as far as that goes. And then when he went to Baylor, he had a huge mess to clean up at Baylor. Baylor has been in the news all these years for all the wrong reasons until this season when they were quietly flying under the radar. And had they won the Big 12 title game against Oklahoma, we would have seen them in the college football playoff, and I think they would have been a very deserving team in the playoff. If you watch Baylor football this year, they were a high-powered football team. Incredibly fun to watch. Great fun to watch. A buddy of mine won some money on them because I was studying this team from about week 4 on, and I was seeing the numbers that they were putting up and the way they were just rolling people. And I was like, hey, man, you have got to keep an eye on Baylor. He was like, man, you're crazy. Baylor ain't nothing. I was like, you watch and see. And they pulled a couple upsets against the spread and all that kind of thing this year. Baylor was a legit football team. And this guy is fantastic into going in and rebuilding a program as far as college goes. Will that translate into the NFL? I think it will. There is enough pieces, mainly one piece in Carolina and Christian McCaffrey to build around. Who knows what the future holds for Cam Newton? That guy's about as brittle as a Little Debbie's cake. But what can you do? The man is now the 6th highest paid coach in the NFL. Bill Belichick's ahead of him. Sean Payton's ahead of him, and a couple others. But he is now the 6th highest paid coach of the NFL. Obviously, the Carolina Panthers franchise believes in him. And like I said, I think as far as the 3 coaching hires that were prevalent this week, you have got to list Matt Rule and the Carolina Panthers as number 1. Then I would go Mike McCarthy number 2. And then if there's anything less than a 3 with Judge and the New York Giants, go ahead and rank him that. But he's definitely 3 out of 3 as far as the coaching hires this week go. He'll be the worst coach in the NFL next season, mark my words. But Matt Rule, he is going to do incredible things for Carolina. Christian McCaffrey, that quarterback that came in, I'm slipping on his name right now, that came in for Newton after Newton got hurt for the 417th time. He looked serviceable. He looked like he could be a good quarterback. Kind of build around him a little bit and give Christian some help down there and maybe build up the defense a little more, even though they had a pretty good defense this year. Just build around Christian McCaffrey, and Matt Rule will take care of the rest. In the next 2 or 3 years, the Carolina Panthers are going to be contenders again. You watch and see, and you'll hear it here first. Next, we're going to switch gears to the playoffs. The divisional round is coming up this weekend, and man, was that wild card weekend good. We did pretty good on the wild card weekend. We went 50%. That ain't bad. The Buffalo Bills cost me one, though. We should have been 3 for 4. But the Bills, in typical Buffalo fashion, choked it away. Now, before we start into the previews for the divisional round, I do owe the Minnesota Vikings an apology. I said that they had no chance of going into New Orleans on the previous episode of On the Glass and winning, and lo and behold, they went into New Orleans and they won. Now, in my opinion, it was not Kirk Cousins that got them that victory, although he did throw the game-winning touchdown pass. Dalvin Cook was a man possessed in that game. He could not be stopped. And for a guy that had missed a couple games due to a shoulder injury, he was lowering his shoulder. He was lowering the boom on people. He was evading people. He was just absolutely balling out. Somebody stopped the man. Nobody could, but somebody had to. And that Minnesota Vikings rode him to victory. And congratulations, Minnesota. I did not think you had a chance in HE double hockey sticks to go down to the Superdome and win, but you did, and it was impressive. So, talking about the Vikings, they're going to open up play this weekend on Saturday, going to San Francisco to take on the San Francisco 49ers. Minnesota, once again, is an underdog in this game, this time by 7. And just to make my friend Ricky happy and hopefully that the jinx keeps going, I'm going to go ahead and pick against Minnesota, even though I don't truly believe it this time. Kirk Cousins, he didn't light the world on fire by any stretch of the imagination on Wild Card weekend, but he played good, sound, solid football. And to me, that's all you can ask for Kirk Cousins in the playoffs. He didn't throw the big interception. He didn't have a big fumble, anything like that. But I'm going to take the 49ers. 49ers have been one of the best teams in football all year long. As bad as I hate to say that, because I did not like the 49ers when I was a kid, and that has kind of carried over into adulthood. I'm not absolutely convinced on Jimmy Garoppolo like most of the world is. I think he's a flash in the pan. Call me crazy. It is what it is. I'm not sold on Jimmy Garoppolo. But I will take the San Francisco 49ers this weekend, mainly because they have a really stout defense, and I think they're going to man up on the receivers, maybe play a little zone, make Kirk Cousins throw the football, try to stop Dalvin Cook the best you can. And if you just get some pressure on Cousins and force him into quick throws, he's going to turn the football over most of the time. So I'm going to go ahead and take the 49ers in this one. And for the sake of my friend Ricky, I hope that I'm wrong and the Minnesota Vikings win, because I really can't stand the 49ers. Rounding it out on Saturday is the game that I am most interested in the weekend. It is at 8:15 on CBS. The Tennessee Titans are traveling to Baltimore, Maryland to take on the Fighting Lamar Jacksons and the Baltimore Ravens. And let's see here. Let's look at my notes. The Tennessee Titans are a 10-point underdog in this one. I did pick the major upset last week with the Titans going into Foxborough and winning. Not the case here, guys. Not the case at all. Let's face it. The Baltimore offense is something that we have never seen in the NFL. I mean, for goodness sakes, guys, at some points during this season, there was 3 former Heisman Trophy winners lining up in the backfield in Baltimore. Obviously, you got Lamar Jackson, you got Mark Ingram, and you got Robert Griffin III. That is a formidable lineup. Just in that. And then you got Hollywood Brown on the outside that is catching everything that's being thrown to him. The 2 tight ends in Baltimore are absolutely balling out. The offensive line in Baltimore is one of the best I've seen in the NFL in quite some time. It takes a special line to block for Lamar Jackson, because you never know what in the heck he's going to do back there. Sometimes he takes off and runs. Sometimes he just scrambles a little bit and throws the football. Sometimes he'll stand in the pocket good and tall and make a good, accurate throw downfield. You just never know what's going to happen back there with Lamar Jackson behind center. The Baltimore Ravens have the NFL MVP. It hasn't been announced yet, but if Lamar Jackson don't win the MVP, there is something seriously wrong. There was nobody better in the NFL this year, period, than Lamar Jackson. I don't care. You can make an argument all you want for Russell Wilson. You can make an argument all you want for Patrick Mahomes. Neither one of those guys held a candle to what Lamar Jackson did from week 1 to week 17 all year long. Nobody in the NFL could stop him. He's got defensive coordinators questioning everything that they knew about football. Every team is going to try to find the next Lamar Jackson. And let me tell you something. If there happens to be a scout or a GM from any NFL team that happens to stumble upon this video on YouTube, there is nobody that will compare to Lamar Jackson for at least another 10 to 15 years. The man is transcendent. He is making football just look like a backyard football game, and there's nothing nobody can do to stop him. Tennessee, one of the hottest teams in the NFL. We touched on it last time. Even with Tannehill, even with Henry, even with that good defense that they have, there's going to be no answer for Lamar. It's going to be Lamar, more Lamar, and then more Lamar, and then some Mark Ingram, and then some Hollywood Brown. You're not going to stop him. You're not going to stop them. Baltimore's going to cover this 10-point spread easily. It was a good run for you, Tennessee. It hurt my heart last week when I had to pick you. But your Cinderella story's over, coming up at M&T Bank Stadium up in Baltimore this week. It's a good run for you, Tennessee, but Lamar is waltzing on into the AFC Championship game. So book that. That's written in stone as far as this guy's concerned. Moving on to Sunday, we're going to open things up at 3:05 on CBS. And it's going to be the Texans at the Chiefs. Interesting matchup here. The Texans are a 10-point underdog despite going into Arrowhead and winning in week 6 against the Chiefs. I think the final was like 31-24. So this is an interesting one to me. Me personally, I think the 2 quarterbacks in this game, Deshaun Watson for the Texans, Patrick Mahomes for the Chiefs, are pretty overrated quarterbacks. Like, substantially overrated. But that being said, I'm kind of a Louisville homer on this one. Deshaun Watson was Lamar's rival in college at Clemson, and now everybody and their brother wants to compare Patrick Mahomes to Lamar Jackson, even though there is no comparison. So, kind of the battle of overrated quarterbacks. That being said, Houston was getting drummed in Wild Card Weekend by Buffalo. A couple things happened in that game that sent the momentum on the side of Houston, and they never relinquished that. Number one was the J.J. Watt fumble in the second half. Or, not fumble, sack, I'm sorry. Once J.J. got that sack, that crowd erupted. Everything changed. That's when Houston went on their run and put Buffalo on their heels. Then Josh Allen in the second half, for whatever reason, just decided that he didn't know how to play the quarterback position in the NFL no more. He's scrambling, trying to throw random laterals and forcing throws and airmailing throws and everything else. He completely looked like a different guy in the second half compared to the first half. He stunk the joint up in the second half. And to me, that is what cost the Buffalo Bills the game. Now, Deshaun Watson in that last drive, in overtime, I think it was, when there was two Bills right on top of him, and he somehow skated out of that and completed the ball downfield, was one of the most remarkable plays in the playoffs I've ever seen. How that guy got out of that, I will never understand. I don't know if that was poor tackling or just great effort by Deshaun Watson. Because I don't like Watson and I don't like the Texans, I'm going to go ahead and say it was poor tackling by Buffalo, but man, was it a great play. Now, let's fast forward to this weekend with the Chiefs. The Chiefs are the rested team here. It's hard to go into Foxborough to play, but Arrowhead's one of the toughest places to play, period. And then you throw the playoffs in on top of it, it's going to be hard for Houston to go in there and get a win. I'm going to go ahead and say that the AFC South rival of the Jacksonville Jaguars, both of them this weekend go out. Tennessee Titans are getting smoked by Lamar and the Ravens, and I'm going to go ahead and say Houston gets beat on Sunday, and it's going to be a Jackson versus Mahomes matchup in the AFC Championship game, which I'm pretty sure is what the NFL wants for ratings. So I would go ahead and take the Chiefs here. I'd probably take the Texans to cover the spread, though, however. Then rounding out the weekend, and then we'll know who's playing on championship weekend, is the Seahawks and Packers at 6:40 on Fox. Seattle is traveling to Green Bay for this one, and the Seahawks are a 4-point underdog in this one. Look, we kind of touched on it when we were talking about Mike McCarthy being the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys now. Aaron Rodgers chokes in the playoffs. You Green Bay fans might hate me for that, but Aaron Rodgers chokes in the playoffs, period. This is a very formidable Seattle team coming into Lambeau to play. They've been there before. That environment is not going to intimidate them. Russell Wilson is going to play lights out football, period. Russell Wilson is the better quarterback right now, in my opinion, outside Rodgers. If you get a hard hit on Rodgers and he goes down on a shoulder, it's going to break, period. He's the Tony Romo of this last 3 years. Rodgers is brittle. I think the Packers are going to choke again, and I think we're going to get a Seahawks and Vikings NFC Championship game, even though I picked against the Vikings and picked the 49ers. It's a little reverse psychology on my part. I think we're going to get the Seahawks and the Vikings. So I'm taking Seattle to go into Lambeau Field, the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field, and pick up a W on Sunday. So we'll see how this all plays out. It's going to be another great weekend of games. Just to touch on it, UK plays Alabama at noon on Saturday, and then U of L follows that up against Notre Dame as well. I think both of those games are wins for the Cats and the Cards, so we're not going to go into that on this episode of On the Glass. We're going to keep it NFL centric. NFL is the hottest thing going on right now, so that's what we're going to talk about the most. So we'll know in about 4 days who's going to be playing to go to the Super Bowl, and then we'll get back on here. We'll break it all down. We'll see how the division round went. We're still waiting on the Cleveland Browns to make it a hire, which should be interesting because they always screw up like the Giants and make an unbelievably stupid hire as well. So we'll just have to see how these things play out over the coming days. If by chance, and I don't foresee this happening, the Cleveland Browns do make a good selection as head coach of the Browns, we'll get on here and we'll break it down and we'll talk about it. But for now, I'd like to remind you about my friends at Shady Rays. If you're in the market for some sunglasses, go to shadyrays.com. You won't find a better pair of sunglasses on the market, and I will guarantee that myself. They offer a free lifetime warranty on their shades. If you lose them, if you break them, whatever happens, you just call up Shady Rays, email Shady Rays, hit them up on Facebook, whatever you got to do. Tell them what happened. All you got to do is pay for shipping, and they'll get you a new pair right out to you. So check out shadyrays.com. If you want to get in contact with me, you can send me an email. It's ontheglass34@gmail.com. Any questions, comments, or concerns, or anything you would like me to talk about on future episodes of On the Glass, just hit me up. ontheglass34@gmail.com. As always, please like and share these videos and hit that subscribe button right down here. That way you'll know when new videos are coming out. I'd like to get my subscriber count up. These videos are doing pretty good to only have 2 episodes in so far, but be sure to like and subscribe. Hit up shadyrays.com. And if you want to send me an email, it's ontheglass34@gmail.com. But for now, that is episode 3 of On the Glass, and I'm your host, Brandon Abels, and we'll see you next time.